Students, welcome to this second lecture of the chapter number 4, that is nucleus. I, Assistant Professor Amol Handore, welcome you for this lecture of cell biology. Before starting with today's lecture, let's take a brief recap of the previous lecture. So in the last lecture, we have started with this chapter and we have studied the size, shape, number and position of the nucleus in the cell. Along with that, we have seen some parts of the nucleus like nuclear envelope, nuclear membrane and pore complex and its complex structure. In today's lecture, the study objective will be to study nuclear lamina, nucleoplasm, nucleolus, types of chromatin and functions of the nucleus. So let us begin with the first part, that is nuclear lamina. Now if you see in this picture, you can see inside the nuclear envelope you will find a layer that is here, that is shown with a green color, that is called as a nuclear lamina. Now the inner surface of the nuclear envelope is basically bound with this filamentous network made up of lamin proteins called as a nuclear lamina. What is the function of this nuclear lamina? It basically provides mechanical support to the nuclear envelope and also it functions as a site for the attachment of chromatin fibers. Okay. So this is a very important part which serve as an attachment site to the chromatin fibers. We know that inside the nucleus the DNA is present in a highly condensed form that is known as chromatin, and these chromatin fibers, they are attached with the help of this nuclear lamina. So we can define this nuclear lamina is a layer that is attached on the inner side of the nuclear envelope, and it is a proteinaceous fibrous material called as a nuclear lamina. Now if you see, we know that there are small openings which are known as nuclear pores present in the nuclear envelope. So there is absence of the nuclear lamina in these nuclear pores. So nuclear lamina is absent in the nuclear pore region. Now if we see the chemical composition, this nuclear lamina is made up of 3 protein subunits called as lamin A protein, lamin B and lamin C protein. Okay, so remember, nuclear lamina is a layer which is present alongside the nuclear envelope and it is made up of 3 protein subunits, that is lamin A, lamin B and lamin C proteins. And what is the function of nuclear lamina? It serves as an attachment site to the chromatin material as well as it gives the mechanical support to the nuclear envelope. Yes, so the main function of this nuclear lamina is to organize the structure of nucleus by giving it a mechanical support as well as giving the attachment site to the chromatin fiber. Now we move on to the next part of the nucleus, that is called as nucleoplasm. So what is nucleoplasm? Nucleoplasm means the liquid part of the nucleus. It is not liquid, but it is a highly viscous gelatinous liquid that surrounds the chromosome and nucleolus. This nucleoplasm is basically present here inside the nucleus. So all this liquid part which is jelly like material, actually it is called as a nucleoplasm. It is also called by another names, that is nuclear sap, nuclear matrix, or by another name which is karyoplasm. Okay, so there are different names to the nucleoplasm, that is nuclear sap, nuclear matrix and karyoplasm. Now if we see, it is quite similar to the cytoplasm. We know that inside the cell, the jelly-like liquid material is called as cytoplasm, and the liquid jelly-like material present in the nucleus is called as nucleoplasm. If we see the chemical composition of this nucleoplasm, it is made up of water, dissolved salts, enzymes, and other organic molecules like proteins, carbohydrates, which are suspended in this nucleoplasm. On the outer side, this nucleoplasm is covered by a bilayer structure, which is this layer known as the nuclear envelope. Okay, so this nuclear matrix or the nucleoplasm is enveloped by the nuclear envelope. Inside this nucleoplasm, the chromatin threads. So what is chromatin? Basically, it is nothing but the condensed form of the DNA. Okay, so the condensed form of the DNA in the form of chromatin threads, as well as another structure that is called as nucleolus, is suspended in the nucleoplasm. So in the center of this nucleus, you can see a oval structure that is nothing but the nucleolus. So this nucleolus along with the DNA in the form of chromatin threads is suspended in the nucleoplasm. So what is the function of this nucleoplasm? The main function of this nucleoplasm, it acts like a cushioning, or it helps to protect the contents of the nucleus. Okay, so it is a shock absorber like a material, and it helps to cushion and protect the contents within the nucleus. So nucleoplasm also support nucleus by helping to maintain its shape. Okay, so nucleoplasm helps to maintain the shape of nucleus. Additionally, it has another function, that it provides a medium by which different materials like enzymes and nucleotides, which make up the DNA and RNA, can be transported through the nucleus. Okay, so this nucleoplasm is basically a liquid or jelly-like medium in which all these materials are present, that is enzymes, nucleotides, and which are responsible for the develop or construction of the DNA and RNA, that is synthesis of the DNA and RNA. Also, different substances are exchanged between the cytoplasm and nucleoplasm through nuclear pores. We know that on the nucleus there are small pores, and through which the exchange of the material will take place. So the material from the cell will enter into the nucleus, and they will go ultimately into the nucleoplasm. Similarly, the materials which are synthesized in the nucleus like RNA, ribosomes, they will be exported out of the nucleus through these nuclear pores only. Okay, so this is like a passage for nuclear pores, like a passage for entry and exit of the molecules. Further, this nucleolus, if you see the structure of this nucleolus, it is a large spherical and acidophilic dense granule-like structure. Okay, so now we have started with nucleolus. Nucleolus is a oval structure or a granule-like structure present inside the nucleus, and this nucleolus is basically acidophilic, that is means acid loving. This nucleolus was discovered by scientist Fontano in the year 1781. Now the size of the nucleolus depends upon the synthetic activities of the cell. What does this sentence mean? That means if nucleus is synthesizing more material, the size of the nucleolus will be larger, and if the nucleus is synthesizing less materials, size of the nucleolus will be smaller. What are the main functions of the nucleolus? Nucleolus basically functions to synthesize rRNA and also synthesis of the ribosomes. Okay, so two materials which are very important for the cell, that is rRNA and ribosomes, they are synthesized in the nucleolus. Now this nucleolus basically is a densely stained structure found in the nucleus. So if you stain the nucleus, this will be very densely stained, that means a lot of stain will be absorbed by the nucleolus. Now let us understand or study the chemical composition of the nucleolus. So this nucleolus is composed of two components, that is RNA. RNA stands for ribonucleic acid, and some proteins. Okay, so if there is a question, what is the chemical composition of nucleus? So nucleolus is made up of RNA plus proteins. If you observe the nucleolus under electron microscope, it will show you a granular structure. Okay, so it will show a dense granule like structure present inside the nucleus. And as we know that nucleus function is, it produces ribosomes, and these ribosomes then they will come out of the nuclear pores, and after they will come out of the nuclear pores, they will attach to the endoplasmic reticulum, and that part of the endoplasmic reticulum where ribosomes are attached is called as rough endoplasmic reticulum. And we know that what is the function of rough endoplasmic reticulum? The protein synthesis is a function of this rough endoplasmic reticulum, or it is also known as rough ER. So in this picture we can see this is the nuclear envelope. In between there are small openings called as nuclear pores. Inside the nucleus you will find thread like structures, that is nothing but the condensed DNA called as chromatin threads, right? And inside the nucleus you will find a darkly dense granule which could be a darkly stained, that is called as nucleolus. Now in some cell you will have a single nucleus, but even in some cells you can have multiple of the nucleolus. Now if we study the nucleolus structure in more detail, it has a center region which is called as core. It is made up of fibers, so it is called as a fibrous core region, and this fibrous central region is surrounded by the granular region which is also called as nucleolar matrix. Now the core region of the nucleolus, that means the center part of the nucleolus, has fibrils because it is a fibrous region, and these fibrils or fiber like structures, they have a diameter of 5 nanometer. On the other hand, the outer part of the nucleolus, that is the granular region, it contains the granules of ribonucleoproteins, that means RNA plus proteins, and they have a diameter of 15 nanometer. Okay, so remember nucleolus is having two regions, fibrous region and granular region. Fibrous region have fibers of 5 nanometers diameter, and the granular region have the granules of ribonucleoproteins, and they have the diameter of 15 nanometer. Now let us see how many number of nucleus is present in the nucleus. Normally the number of nucleoli, or it is the plural of the nucleolus, depend upon number of chromosome and the species of the organism. Okay, so from depending upon the species and the number of chromosome, the number of nucleoli will be present in the nucleus. So there may be only one nucleolus in many plant cells and animal cells for each haploid set of chromosome. Okay, so for a single haploid set of chromosome, one nucleolus is mostly present in most plant and animal cells. However, in some other type of cell, there could be more than one nucleolus. So you can have two or more nucleolus for each haploid set of chromosome. Now in man or human being, there are two pair of nucleoli in each diploid nucleus. Okay, so in a diploid nucleus you will have two nucleoli. Now the nucleolus, the components of the nucleolus are granules, fibrils, matrix and chromatin. So in this picture we can see these nucleus ultrastructure. Inside that we could see these fibril and granule like structures. So the first component of the nucleolus are the granules. Now these granules, they generally occupy the periphery of the nucleolus, since we have seen that the center part is called as fibrillar region or fibrous region and the outer layer is called as granular region. And these granules, they are made up of ribonucleoproteins, as we have already seen in the previous slide. Next part is fibrils. So these fibrils is the center part of the nucleolus. This fibrillar region is also called as nucleonema, and it is mainly composed of the fibers, and these fibers are called as fibrils, and they are made up of RNA and proteins, and they have the diameter of 15 to 18 angstrom in length. Both these granules and fibrils, which make up the nucleolus, they can be broken down or digested by the ribonuclease enzyme. The third part of the nucleolus can be called as a matrix. So matrix is nothing but the nucleoplasm, that is the liquid part of the nucleus. So this is a amorphous proteinaceous region or the liquid jelly like material of the nucleus. Presence of granules and fibrils point to the fact that nuclear matrix is the major site of DNA replication. Okay, so where does DNA replication takes place? In the nucleoplasm or the nuclear matrix, which is a liquid part of the nucleus. Now let us understand the functions of the nucleolus. So the first important function of the nucleolus is its role in the mitosis. So it plays a very important role in the process of mitosis. Secondly, it helps in the process of protein synthesis, because we know that RNA and ribosomes both are synthesized inside the nucleolus. Then they will come out of the nuclear pores and get attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, where the synthesis of protein takes place. Okay, so the protein synthesis process, nucleolus plays a very important role. Next function, it acts as an intermediator in the transmission of genetic information. That means nucleolus plays a very important role for carrying the genetic information from one generation to the next generation. Okay, so that is the role which is called as a transmission of genetic information. Okay, now we come to the last part of today's discussion. So what is chromatin? We have already seen that the DNA, when it is present in the condensed state, it is called as chromatin. Now chromosomes, what are chromosomes? What the chromosome means, it is basically made up of DNA and nucleoproteins. Okay, so DNA plus nucleoprotein is called as chromosomes. Now these chromosomes can occur in two forms, that is euchromatin and heterochromatin. It was the scientist Hertz in the year 1928 described these heterochromatin structure, and he said that heterochromatin are those regions of the chromosome that remain condensed during interphase and the early prophase of the cell division. So we know that during the cell division, earlier these nuclear material, that is DNA, is present in the condensed state. When it is present in highly condensed state, it is called as heterochromatin. And the non-condensed part of the DNA or the chromosome is called as euchromatin. Okay, so remember, the highly condensed region of the chromosome is called as heterochromatin, and the less condensed or the non-condensed state of the chromatin is called as euchromatin. Now this heterochromatin is present in close contact with the nucleolus. Okay, so it is present attached with the near the nucleolus, and it is responsible for what is called as a nucleolar organizer region. Okay, so this heterochromatin acts as a nucleolar organizer region. In this picture we can clearly see that this is the cell, and inside this cell you can see this is the nucleus, and this greenish part is the nucleolus. So during the cell division, the centrioles, they will take part in the process of cell division, and you know that cell division has 4 stages, that is prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. So in the prophase, the condensation of the chromosome starts, and in the metaphase they will form the typical chromosome structure. Now the spindle fibers will start attaching to these centrioles, and these spindle fibers will also attach to the these chromosomes. Okay. Yes, so let us again understand the difference between heterochromatin and euchromatin. So heterochromatin means the highly condensed region of the DNA. If you stain it, it will darkly stain. Okay, so it is mostly the simple sequence of the DNA. On the other hand, the euchromatin is the less condensed region of the DNA. It is also called as a complex sequence of the DNA, like the genes. Okay, so the genes are present in the form of euchromatin, and if you stain the euchromatin, it will be lightly stained. So based on the staining properties, you can distinguish between heterochromatin and euchromatin, that heterochromatin is darkly stained whereas euchromatin is lightly stained. Heterochromatin is highly condensed region of the DNA, whereas euchromatin is the less or non-condensed region of the DNA. In this picture we can see this is a typical chromosome which you will see in the metaphase of the cell division. In this chromosome you have the 2 regions. If you stain the chromosome, you will find there are certain regions of the chromosome which will be darkly stained. So these darkly stained regions of the chromosome are called as heterochromatin, whereas less or not darkly stained or less darkly stained regions, these are known as euchromatin. So they will stain lighter, whereas heterochromatin is staining darker. If you see, you will have high content of adenine and thymine in the heterochromatin region, whereas you will have high GC content, that is guanine and cytosine content, in the euchromatin region. Also, we know that euchromatin give rise to the genes. So this is the gene expressing region, whereas heterochromatin you do not have the genes, but these are called as a silence gene region. So this is the methylated part of the DNA in which the genes are non-functional, whereas the functional genes are present in the euchromatin region. Further, this heterochromatin is composed of 250 angstrom fibrils, whereas euchromatin is composed of 32 and 80 angstrom size fibers. Heterochromatin, as we have seen, is the condensed region of the chromatin, and it contains 2 to 3 times more DNA than the euchromatin. Okay, because here the tight coiling of the DNA takes place in the heterochromatin, therefore the DNA content is more, and it is about 2 to 3 times more than the euchromatin. Now, since the DNA which is present in this heterochromatin is tightly coiled, it is genetically inert. That means the genes, they cannot be transcribed by the transcription process. Okay, so this DNA cannot be converted into RNA, and RNA cannot be converted into proteins. So what is the function of the chromatin? First of all, it helps to package the DNA in smaller volume because there occurs tight coiling of the DNA. Okay, we know that in the nucleus the size of the nucleus is very small and the length of the DNA is very long, and to compensate this long size DNA into very small volume of the nucleus, it is converted into this chromatin structure. Also, it helps to strengthen the DNA to allow the process of mitosis and meiosis. Further, it serves as the mechanism to control the gene expression. Next function of the chromatin is histone proteins. They are closely associated with the DNA molecules, and these histone proteins, they are responsible for the structure of chromatin. So you must have studied the structure of nucleosome. What is nucleosome? When the coiling of the DNA takes place, it is coiled around the certain proteins. Those proteins are called as histone proteins, and due to this coiling, it will get more condensed, and by this mechanism it helps to, or it is thus responsible for the structure of chromatin and play important role in the process of gene expression. In this picture we can see the chromatin threads. So the darkly stained region is the heterochromatin and lightly stained region are the euchromatin. Further, this chromatin will further condense and it will form what is called as chromosomes. Lastly, we will study the functions of the nucleus. So what is the function of nucleus? It is like a control center of the cell, where it controls the very important processes of the cell, that is protein synthesis. How protein synthesis takes place, we have already studied that the ribosomes and RNA is synthesized in the nucleolus, then it will be transported out. All the three types of RNA are produced in the nucleus, that is mRNA, rRNA and tRNA. Along with that, different enzymes are also synthesized, and these are responsible for the process of protein synthesis. Second important function, that is storage of the cell's very important genetic information, that is in the form of DNA, and this DNA is present in the form of chromatin threads, and this DNA is passed on from one generation to the next generation with the help of the nucleus. So we know that during the cell division, nucleus also divides. That process is called as karyokinesis. Now the chromatin, which is nothing but the DNA of the cell, possesses all the genetic information, and we know that genes are responsible for all the very important activities of the cell like growth, development, reproduction, metabolism as well as behavior, and all these genes, they are present in the chromatin, and this chromatin is present in the nucleus. The ribosomes, which are very essential in the process of protein synthesis, they are synthesized in the nucleolus, which is part of the nucleus. Also, nucleus initiates and controls the process of cell division. That is one of the very important role in the cell reproduction, that is called as cell division. The nucleus also induces genetic variation that contributes to the evolution, because this variation may arise during the process of cell division. That step is called as recombination, and due to that recombination, new variations will arise, and these new variation will ultimately lead to the evolution. Finally, it brings about cell differentiation by keeping only certain gene operating in particular cells. Okay, so certain genes are operating, they will be kept working, and certain genes they will be switched off or they will not work. That will be that work is carried out by the help of nucleus. Okay, so with that we conclude today's lecture. In a summary, we can say that today we have understood the remaining parts of the nucleus, in which we have studied what is the nucleoplasm, that is the liquid jelly like material part of the nucleus, then nucleolus, which is a darkly stained central oval part of the nucleus. We have understood the different functions of the nucleolus. Then we have studied the chemical composition of the nucleolus. The important function of the nucleolus is synthesis of ribosomes and different types of RNA. Finally, we have understood what is meant by chromatin. So this chromatin is nothing but a highly condensed form of the DNA. Further, this chromatin is of two types, euchromatin and heterochromatin. Heterochromatin is the highly condensed form of the DNA, whereas euchromatin is the less condensed or non-condensed part of the DNA. If we stain the chromosomes, the heterochromatin part is darkly stained, whereas euchromatin part is less or it is lightly stained. Then finally, we have understood the functions of the nucleus, that it is responsible for all the important metabolic activities of the cell like cell division, transcription and translation. So with this we conclude today's lecture. Thank you.